everyone, my name is Reema. I'm going to take you through the AP Environmental Science course content and the materials you can use and all of that. Hopefully it clarifies your doubts towards the end. So what is AP Environmental Science? What exactly are we going to study in it? It is going to help us understand the interrelationships within the natural world. So if there's like we're going to identify and analyze a certain natural and a human-made environmental problem. A basic example would be the increasing air pollution being the problem. And we are going to evaluate the relative risks associated with this problem. So it causes respiratory issues in humans, it causes acid rain and ozone depletion in the environment, and how we can examine alternative solutions to resolve or prevent this. That is to reduce the unnecessary emissions of greenhouse gases, use a cloth bag instead of a plastic bag, save water, go walking to work rather than using a car, or use a carpool system, use a public transport, all of that. So this is just one very basic issue that is being addressed here, just so that you understand what is it that we're looking for. We will be discussing a little bit about the chapters as well going forward. So why AP Environmental Science? Why should you take this subject? So if you are a science student or a non-science student, if you are a non-science student, it definitely shows your versatility. If you're going to learn and add a new interesting subject to your AP list. If you are a science student, you will definitely get some kind of new information on the subject. It will prepare you. If it's required for you to do a science related AP, then this is a very easy one to do. And it has a lab component towards the end as well. What is the exam structure like? There is a total duration of 2 hours and 40 minutes, and it is divided into two sections. So the first section is a multiple choice question, and the second section is a free response question. So the multiple choice questions does not have any negative marking. You have 90 minutes for questions, so a little less than a minute, which is sufficient time to answer. And your MCQs will be of two types. They will be individual as well as set based. So individual questions will be like your regular MCQs that you would have probably already attempted in your school or at your school levels, just regular question with the options. And a set-based question will be with a graph or a diagram and 4 to 5 questions based on that graph or table or diagram that has been provided. Your weightage for multiple choice questions is 60% of your total score comprises of multiple choice. And in your free response basically has 3 questions, which is kind of open-ended, which is something that you would have done in your school. The more you write, the better, the long, it has longer answers. It has different subdivisions. It has 4 to 5 sections where they will ask you a related problem. For example, New York City is having a lot of air pollution. So what are the risks associated? Part A, part B, part B, what kind of solutions can you provide? Part C, part D, and so on, So it will mention that there's a particular factory in this place and there is a lot of air pollution due to that. So you can provide your solutions based on it. So it is a very application based and an investigative based question and answer thing. The weightage for this is 40% of your score, which is also pretty important to get your scores up. Yeah. So coming to the score credit recommendation, if you score a 5 on the AP, it's extremely qualified. That is the college grade equivalent of an A. A 4 would be an A minus, a B plus, or a B. So our target is to score a 4 or a 5 in AP EVS. But a 3 is also a B minus, C plus, and C, and 1 and 2 is not applicable. So whenever you look at the AP environmental science curriculum, if you go through the books or if you go through course content, or if you even see what is it that I am talking about also, you will notice that there are 4 major ideas that are there. The first one is there are 4 big ideas and science practices basically. So your entire curriculum is interlinked or kind of comes under these 4 headings of energy transfer. Basically only 10% of the energy is transferred from a primary producer, that would be the grass or the plant or the trees, to the consumer and to the decomposer. So for very basic food chain, being the cow consuming grass and a tiger or a lion consuming that cow, the energy transfer is only 10%, because the remaining energy is wasted in transpiration, wasted in metabolism, running away from prey, digestion, and all of that. We'll also look at the energy transfer in the water cycle and all of that as well. Interaction between Earth systems and between species and environment is in itself interlinked. The Earth is one interconnected system. and it takes time to obviously recover when a certain natural system is affected, right? So humans alter this natural system and it takes thousands of years to recover itself. The causes would be increasing human population, globalization, air pollution, all of that, which is affecting the environment. So what is it that we can do again for this? What is the sustainability, which is important? Being sustainable, having a sustainable life is something which is important for our human survival for the next generations to come. And we need to manage our resources. So like I again earlier mentioned, carrying a cloth bag instead of a plastic bag, or not cutting down too much. Now, increasing human population, what would be the impact? It's because you need so many houses. You're going to keep cutting the land, and the cities are then moving on to even the outskirts of the cities, and the trees are reducing in population because we need more houses. We need more housing facilities. So this is one impact of increasing human population as well. So this way, we will be discussing all these topics. The inhabitants of planet Earth and their relationships will be talking about your food chain, food webs, all the animals in the animals involved, all the ecosystems, how are they being affected? And Earth's independent systems will be talking about the hydrosphere, the atmosphere, and the pedosphere, and how the biosphere, that is plants and animals, are able to draw their resources from these from the other three spheres, and how they are impacted. Population ecology will talk about how rising population and increasing human population is impacting the environment, and what can we do to control it. Resource utilization and energy resources is again interlinked, as you can see. It also talks about a lot of the clean sources of energy, where right now there's hydroelectricity, there is wind energy, there is all of these green sources of energy as well to draw your energy from. And pollution will be talking about broadly about water, air, and noise pollution, and how we can reduce that. How is that impacting the humans and the environment and the animals, and how that can be controlled. Culture, society, and environmental quality, although it looks like the weightage of this particular chapter is 15 to 20%, it looks like it's a very important chapter. But in actuality, this particular chapter is a repetitive form, which comes in chapters 1 to 6, because this chapter talks about how you can live a more sustainable life, how globalization has impacted the world today, and what are the steps and measures we can do to reduce all of this. So obviously, as you can see, this is what I have been talking about in the previous first six chapters as well. So just knowing how the earth works, how the water cycle works is not enough. We need to know what is the impact of that on the environment. What happens when one particular season we have lesser rain? What happens to the water cycle? Or when we have very heavy rains, what's going to happen? Okay. So these are the basic topics that will be covered, and we will be looking at these resources. The College Board website have a lot of updates and a lot of information about the AP Environmental Science. You can look it up online whenever you're free. Some of the books that we'll be using is Barron's, Princeton. Barron's and Princeton is good, and EVS is a very theoretical subject. So you need to be good at remembering things and memorizing terms. And the more terms you use, the better your answers look. So a lot of remembering, taking notes, and mnemonics and mind maps are things that we will be discussing in class with the student on how they can better remember materials. So this was a broad idea of what EVS, what the units are and what we will be covering.